So I was thinking about this story today, and it happened to me a few years ago. I was about 28. I'm in my early 30s now. So you like to think back and think, oh, you've changed, you know, like this wouldn't happen. Your reactions to these circumstances would be so different. But I don't think, you can be the judge, but I don't think they would, because this story is about the promise of maybe love, and when I feel that promise, I go a little loopy. I'm like a balloon without a string. So who knows? I'm not in love right now, but I could imagine it all happening tomorrow. So I'm dating this guy, Henry, and we are on my front porch after a great kiss, after just a month of dating, and he says, "I like you so much. It really sucks that you're going to Europe all summer." And I say, "I like you so much too. Please don't stare at me as I shimmy through my window, because I locked us out of my house, because I really want to let you in, because I really want to make out with you, because making out with you is currently what's keeping me alive." That and the knowledge that in a week I'm going on a walking tour of Southwest England that's Jane Austen themed. Yes, I have read all of her books more than once, and I have watched more than my share of Jane Austen kissing scenes on YouTube set to train songs, but that just betrays a love of literature and a need to be touched by somebody with sideburns, because I was that lonely before I met Henry. Henry thinks that me going on this trip is charming and smart, which is how I want to see myself again, which is why I'm going. I am a glorified secretary in the deep San Fernando Valley, where nobody I work with understands the meaning of romance, or labels on kombucha in the communal fridge that clearly say SHAUNA's. So I lie. It's not really a Jane Austen themed tour. It's the cheapest tour I could find that travels through the England Jane Austen wrote about, and it's called Haggis Adventures, and it's aimed at college kids taking a gap year who want to get drunk, take a lot of selfies at tourist sites, and fuck every other bright young thing. But I still pack a novel in my bag, and the night before I spend the night with Henry in his loft. Thank you. And the next day I'm on a flight, and then I'm traveling out of cold gray London into the Green Meadows of Dorchester. Our tour has 8 travelers, which Cliff, our very disgruntled tour guide, is quick to tell us is the smallest tour Haggis has ever booked. 5 of us are these beautiful, nubile Canadian 19-year-old besties. They have spent the last month on other buses, taking selfies, getting drunk, and fucking every BYT, and they get on the bus every morning with short shorts and long, glistening, wet hair that they braid for each other as we drive from stop to stop. Next is Ben, 24, Australian stuntman, the only male on the tour. He looks at these Canadians as if he's won some sort of lottery, and he has. Then there's me, weirdo, 28, old maid number 1. And old maid number 2 is Jackie, a nurse from Shannon, Ireland. She's 36. Hannah, our tour guide, has sequestered us together in a hostel room for the next week because, as she says, we'll have lots in common. Hannah, it turns out, is a sweet buck-toothed 25-year-old ageist. So I sit next to Jackie on our first day. She's short with wide saucer eyes. She's got springy curls that she covers in about 10 butterfly hair clips. She's wearing a short pink mini skirt and bright pink platform clogs. She says this is her 13th bus tour, that these tours have never failed to provide me with a sexual fling or a boyfriend. She's hoping Mr. Right would be on the bus. We both look at Ben, the 24-year-old who's looking at the Canadian wood nymphs. He's cute, isn't he? I nod, but we both know she does not have a chance. Jackie asks me if I have a boyfriend back in America, and I tell her about Henry, and her owl eyes cloud with jealousy. Oh, then this tour is not a disappointment to you then. And she goes back to her book. And the truth is, I don't know what Henry and I are. We haven't had the talk or whatever. But the knowledge that he exists and the feel of my Jane Austen novel in my hand makes me feel better than Jackie. We've come with different goals. I've come to find myself among British meadows, and she's come to find a man. It's sad. That night in the hostel, I watch her with awe, sort of, and intrigue as she unpacks her suitcase. She takes out the pinkest, laciest lingerie I have ever seen. She rolls them out on her cot as if they need to breathe. They're clearly for the lusty gaze of a new lover, not me. And then she rolls them up so delicately into these beautiful pink rosettes and puts them back in her suitcase. I mean, she means serious business, you guys. I just brought Hanes. The second day on the tour, we're let off at these waterfalls, the Cantonine waterfalls, which are Britain's biggest waterfalls, which is America's smallest waterfall. That is a joke from our bus driver, Cliff. He had good bus material. Hannah says the woods are full of fairies, so watch out. And we head up and we take pictures of this beautiful view, all the meadows, the waterfalls, real quaint and cute. And then the wood nymph Canadians just kind of fly down the hill, and Ben, the stuntman, leaps from rocks and swings from vines. And me, with romance in my heart, sort of trot down, and I fall. And the fucking fairies, and I do the splits for the first time in my life. And that night I write an email to Henry back home. I tell him about how it's a bummer, it's just day 2 of the tour, and you think you're so brave, and then suddenly something happens and you're so vulnerable. But Henry, the moors, there's a reason why authors wrote such beautiful haunted novels about this part of the country. Sheep just run in the meadow, and everywhere are brooks and wildflowers. I miss you. I wish you were here. I like you. Saw this picture in a museum. It reminded me of us. I sent a nude drawing of lovers by Picasso to a guy I'd been dating a month, and I expected him to write me back toot sweet. He doesn't that night. That's okay, he will. He gets me. The next day, I'm now a liability, so Hannah, our tour guide, says I have to stay on the bus as everyone else goes and looks at another old stone. And Cliff, the bus driver, catches my eyes in the rear view. He commiserates. He wanted to be Haggis's best tour guide, but Crohn's disease has made it so he can't stray too far from the bus or its bathroom. I can't be on this bus with broken dreams with Cliff, so I rush off and catch up to Jackie, who's a nurse and kind, and she becomes my crutch for the rest of the week. Every night, I watch her ritual of her rose lingerie, her hope of tawdry bunk bed sex diminishing, and every night I wait for an email response from Henry, and none comes, and I'm pretty quick to figure out that he's blowing me off. And then pretty quick to figure out he's a dick face, because who doesn't write somebody back after they fall off the world's biggest waterfall? A dick face. So Jackie and I are now the same, both losers in life and love and bus tours, and she's not getting the rear view wings from Cliff, so she's actually winning. And then suddenly the tour's over, and we're at our last night in Bath, where Jane Austen, if you don't know, died in 1817, but died in me in 2012. And I wake up in our last morning to Jackie's eyes so wide, wider than they've been all week, and that's wide, staring at me. And I'm like, hey girl, what's up? And she's like, do you remember having a dream last night? And I say, no, no, and she says, you shot up in your bed and you yelled at me 3 times. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Oh my gosh, Jackie, I mean, I do talk in my sleep sometimes, but maybe I was talking to this jackass back home, or God, I don't know, I don't hate you. You're my favorite part of this trip. And in that moment, I realized that it's true. I mean, here she is, right? This woman that I'm so afraid of turning into in her mid-30s, open to new adventures, traveling the world by herself, following her bliss, as Joseph Campbell said to do. I'm the asshole. I am such an asshole. You know, Jackie seems to believe me, but who else is she going to hang out with? All the Canadians are drunk asleep in the bunk, like 3 of them in one bunk bed with Ben. And so she asks me what I want to do on my last day in Bath, and I know exactly. The Jane Austen Museum in Bath is a major fucking disappointment. We don't know what Jane Austen's house looks like because nothing remains. We don't know what Jane Austen's face looks like because nothing remains. We don't know if Jane Austen was real or a real fucking fairy because nothing remains. But obviously, like she does. She remains in weirdo fangirls like me and romantic heroines like Jackie, and in her writing, which is the best way to remain. And I go find Jackie. She's bent over, like reading this plaque, giving me a full-on peep show. And she's wearing them, the rosy pink lingerie, letting them breathe in the big wide world. And she's reading this plaque from Persuasion, which is Jane Austen's last novel, and it's about, this quote's about Anne, and it says, she hoped to be wise and beautiful in time. Wise and beautiful, I think, in time, but alas, alas, she must confess to herself, she was not wise yet. And Jackie and I went off and had lunch in Bath, and her in those underwear that only I ever got the privilege to see, and me in my Hanes turned inside out. Yeah.